Good morning, students. So we were discussing about organic chemistry, some basic principles and techniques. In the basic principles, we had seen what are organic compounds, how do we name them, what are different isomers, how you can convert one hydrocarbon derivative to another hydrocarbon derivative, a few conversion charts, and also purification of organic compounds by paper chromatography, by thin layer chromatography, and also I had shown you the videos of high performance liquid chromatography. Then we had also seen fractional distillation, fractional extraction, okay, then sublimation. So using these methods we were separating organic compounds. Okay, now we will be doing qualitative testing of organic compounds. All right, so in qualitative analysis of organic compounds, first of all we find out what are the other elements other than carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, oxygen we don't need to find out, because if we find out the other elements and carbon and hydrogen is known, so we subtract 100% from the other percentages, and in that way indirectly we can find out the percentage of oxygen if total percentage of all the components of the elements is not equal to 100, then the remaining will be of oxygen. So for oxygen we don't do any elemental test. However, we can absorb oxygen in pyragalol, but if we do any kind of reaction through which oxygen would come out from hydrocarbon, it will come out in the form of carbon dioxide. So we can absorb carbon dioxide in potassium hydroxide solution. Oxygen as such will not get free. That is also one of the reason that we don't do elemental detection of oxygen. So the elemental detection of oxygen is done in case of sulfur, halogens and nitrogen, phosphorus. All right, so what we will study is, the name of the topic was organic chemistry, basic principles, and techniques. So in this context, we will discuss about qualitative analysis of organic compounds. So there are two aspects of this. One is detection of elements, another aspect is detection of functional group. And nature of carbon chain. Whether aliphatic or aromatic. So in our today's discussion, our focus will be on this topic, not on this topic. So this is our topic for today. Now what happens? All the elements like sulfur, chlorine, bromine, iodine, phosphorus in the form of phosphate, they are strongly bonded with the carbon with covalent bond. As a result, to separate them in the solution is difficult. All right. So the elements like halides. Halides are like chloride, fluoride, bromide, iodide, sulfur or sulfide, element as an element sulfide, as an element phosphorus, as an element nitrogen. They are strongly or they are bonded strongly with carbon. Now to make them ionic in nature, what we do is we fuse them with the help of sodium. We take sodium and we fuse it. In chemistry, the word fuse means to melt. Okay, they are converted to ionic salts. How? By fusing with sodium metal. So when you fuse them with sodium metal, then halides will form NaX, sulfur will form sodium sulfide, phosphorus will form sodium phosphate. It can also form Na2SO4. It can form Na3PO4. And it can form NaCN. So these all are ionic compounds now. They can be easily separated as ions in the solution. They can be easily now separated in the solution. Now the process by which we do it is called as fusion. Now how do we do it? The method is that we take a very small fusion tube. This fusion tube is not like test tube. Okay, this fusion tube is even lesser than the size of the fusion tube would be like this much. This much will be the size of the fusion tube, only this much. Right, very small. A very small tube, just like its size is that of a matchstick. Okay, its size is just like that of a matchstick. We take a fusion tube. Okay, it is like a test tube but as small as a matchstick. Okay, in this fusion tube, inside this fusion tube, we add sodium. Okay, then after that we heat it. We heat it. So on heating, sodium melts. Okay, it melts and becomes red hot. At this point, one has to be very careful that the mouth of the fusion tube should be away from own face also and your friend's face also. All right. So when you heat sodium metal, small piece of sodium metal, to melt it to make it red hot, at that time you have to take care that the mouth of this fusion tube should not be towards anybody's face or even your face, because there are chances that sodium metal can spatter out. Okay, it happens sometimes. But what we do is we take a very small piece of sodium, very small piece of sodium, and we melt it. Now when it becomes red hot, after that we put the organic compound. After that we put the organic compound. Now after the organic compound is put in, then again we heat it so that they can mix together well and they can form these salts. they can form these ionic salts of sodium. Okay. After that, we take a pestle and mortar. We take a pestle and mortar. And inside we put water. This is pestle and mortar. Inside this we put water. Then we bring this red hot fusion tube. Okay. This red hot fusion tube containing the molten sodium is brought in here. Now what will happen when such red hot fusion tube containing sodium and organic compound will be brought near the water? What will happen? Yes. What will happen? It is made up of glass. It is too hot. And when you will bring it in water, then what will happen? It will crack. Okay. The glass cracks. Fusion tube cracks. The fusion tube cracks. Then, with the help of this pistol, we pulverize. Okay, we pulverize it. Further, we pulverize. Pulverize means to make powder. ठीक है. ये जो पिस्टल है, इस पिस्टल से हम इसको अच्छे से कूटते हैं. ठीक है. कूटने के बाद ये ग्लासेस क्या है, छोटे छोटे पाउडर में टूट जाते हैं और ऑर्गेनिक कंपाउंड के जो एलिमेंट्स हैं वो सोडियम के साथ मिक्स होके ये सॉल्ट बना के इसके एक्वस फॉर्म में आ जाते हैं. They form their aqueous salt. Okay. Now this contains aqueous solution of या फिर NaCN बनेगा और NaX और Na3PO4 और Na2S or Na2SO4. Okay. This will be there in the aqueous solution. Now, in the water, when you will dissolve this in water, this is already a sodium extract, so it is in the form of solvent only. We do their individual tests and we get the presence of various elements. Like example, this part now I can erase. This part also I can erase later on a little bit. Now, if halide is present, then what will happen? NaX with AgNO3 will give either white PPT or it will give yellow PPT. If it is white PPT, that means this implies AgCl is formed and Cl minus is present. And if it is yellow, then it could be AgBr or AgI. So in this way we can conduct the experiments using the sodium extract. So what I will do is I will make a table so that the process of the experiment becomes very clear to visualize. So the fused extracted mixture we will call as sodium extract, or we will call it as Lassagn's reagent. So this sodium extract, as I told you earlier, what does it contain? It may contain NaX, that means it may contain AgCl, AgI, AgBr or AgF, or sorry, NaF. It may contain NaCN, it may contain Na2S, it may contain NaCN. Okay. Any of these 3-4 elements could be there. So how we will test it? We can test it by this method. Experiment. Observation. Inference. Inference means result. What conclusion you have found out is inference. So here we will only write positive tests. Okay, the table below shows only positive tests. The table below shows all positive tests, that means presence. In real life, you may get any one or two of these. Alright. So experiment number 1. Lassagn's reagent. Plus AgNO3. So if you get white PPT of AgCl, that means chloride is present or chlorine element is present. If yellow PPT is obtained, this could be AGBR or AGI. So for that we will do, for 1A and B, we will do layer test. So for this what we do, if it is AGBR, we will give chlorine water. It will form AgCl white PPT and Br2 will come out. This Br2 will give red colored layer in CCl4 because both are covalent compounds. So if it shows red color in CCl4, that means bromine atom is present. Similarly, if this was AgI, if it is treated with chlorine water, it will form, it is the oxidizing agent, so it will oxidize iodide to iodine. This iodine will give violet color. In CCl4. B, violet color in CCl4 infers that iodine atom is present. So in this way you can detect the presence of halogens. Alright. Now since halogens are 3-4 types, so we had to do such long tests. The rest of the tests may not take such long space to write. Two, if Lasagne's reagent contains Na2S, then with lead acetate gives black PPT of PBS, or if it contains sodium sulfate, then with barium chloride it will form BaSO4, white PPT. So in this way we can infer that sulfur atom is present. Similarly, if Lassagnet's reagent contains sodium phosphate, then with ammonium molybdate, it forms canary yellow colored ammonium phosphomolybdate. This shows the presence of phosphorus atom. So we can say that phosphorus atom is present. Fourth, if it contains nitrogen, then Lassagnet's reagent will contain sodium cyanide. In Lassagnet's reagent. So to this, if we add Fe if we add potassium ferrocyanide K4 FeCN whole 6, then it will form ferrocyanide. Fe is called as ferrocyanide. It gives Prussian blue color. Prussian blue colored. So with this we can infer that nitrogen is present. So these are the major tests which we do to detect the presence of elements. Okay. So to summarize back again, what do we do? To find out the elements like halogen, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus present in organic compound, we melt it with sodium metal in fusion tube. Then in Bristol-Mundt mortar, we pulverize it. Then we filter out the whole liquid such that the glass particles and undissolved particles remain in the filter paper. And in the conical flask, we get the filtrate containing NaX, NaCN, sodium sulfide or sodium sulfide, sodium sulfate or sodium phosphate. Now we do the individual tests of halogen, sulfide, sulfate, phosphate, and cyanides. With these tests, we are able to find out which elements are present. All right. So there can be more than one confirmatory test, but as of now, remember at least one test for each element. That will work. Thank you.